The Conservative MP, Steve Baker, is an arch Brexiteer and was one of the leaders of the backbench pressure group known as the European Research Group, the ERG. He's now in government as a Northern Ireland minister and has been giving his reaction to the deal. And there you are, joining us live, Mr. Baker. Very good to talk to you. Does this framework, Windsor Framework as it's now being called, does it, in your view, meet the 7 tests of the Democratic Unionist Party and the goodness knows how many tests of the ERG?
Yes, it does. In my view, this restores Northern Ireland's place in the Union. What it does is it makes sure that Northern Ireland is in the UK's internal market for goods in both directions without burdensome process, so just as it should be. It restores Northern Ireland's place in the Union with things like medicines, travelling with pets. You know, this is taxation, absolutely crucial point and a major win. And finally, there is dealing with the democratic deficit. By the petition of concern mechanism, the Assembly in Northern Ireland will be able to say no to new EU law. That's a terrific breakthrough. It shows great statesmanship, for want of a better word, from Ursula von der Leyen. I'm just terrifically pleased that I can earnestly say that this is a moment when at last one chapter of our national story may close and a new one may begin in a new spirit of partnership and friendship with Ireland and with the EU.
OK, and what about the ERG? You mentioned the DUP 7 tests. OK, we've been through that, and presumably they're going through it line by line right now to bring us their opinion on it. What about the ERG, though? Because you and I talked for the last 4 or 5 years, particularly during those Theresa May years and the tortuous negotiations around Brexit and particularly Northern Ireland. And you were foursquare against the Chequers deal that Theresa May brought forward. This one works for you. Does it work for the other members of the ERG?
Well, I very much hope so, but if I may say so, Dermot, if I recall correctly, I launched Conservatives for Britain on your programme on my birthday on the 6th of June 2015, so it's been a long journey together. But what I will say is that it's a particularly moving moment to bookend this journey with you. But the ERG will, like the DUP, read every word, every detail of 119 pages of legal text, plus the command paper and everything else that's provided. They will scrutinise it all in detail. This is existential for Eurosceptics as it is for the DUP. But I'm very confident. I met them earlier and I explained to them why, having read the text, I'm backing this deal, and earnestly and enthusiastically. I've said to them I very much hope that when they've read the text themselves, that they will also feel able, in good faith, to back this deal and move on. And I do think it's the right thing to do. I think this is a win, and I think it's very important in politics to know when you've had a win-win solution for all sides, bank it and move forwards. And this is a time to bank what is a radical improvement for the people of Northern Ireland. And we should bank it and move on. There's always going to be something that some ideologue would condemn, and some unionists are so hardline. I think they'd put a moat between the north and the south. But those ladies and gentlemen, are never going to be satisfied by anything. I think that for pragmatic unionists, looking at the full spectrum of this deal in the detail, I think that we'll find that they're able to back this as I have, in good faith, with a whole heart, and move our country forward.
And Mr. Baker, do you think there are any ideologues, as you put it, left in the ERG who are going to say, well, OK, we used to respect Steve Baker, but he's taken the shilling. He's got a ministerial job. He would be saying this, wouldn't he?
Well, I think that they know that as late as last week, and indeed as late as yesterday, I was going into number 10 thinking I might have to resign over this deal. But really the clincher for me has been the democratic deficit point. It's an extraordinary achievement to have this Stormont break. I've read the legal text. It's a real thing. It's an incredible achievement by Rishi Sunak to have got it. And I think it shows a great foresight, equal actually to the Belfast Good Friday Agreement, that the EU has delivered it. And I think as we approach the anniversary, all of us need to move beyond, whatever animosities. I think I've been through personally enough that people will take for granted that I would resign if I felt I couldn't support the deal. So, I'm backing this with a good heart. Other people will read the text. If they conclude they can't, well, I'll take the hits. But I think actually the vast majority of sensible, pragmatic colleagues, which I'm sure is all of my colleagues in Parliament, they'll read the text, they'll decide this is a good moment to bank the success and move on.
Great talking to you, Mr. Baker, and thank you so much for being so frank.